Why don't you pick up the phone this afternoon? Let's talk to Ajmal Masroor about it. Ajmal is an Imam and broadcaster who stood as an independent candidate in Tower Hamlets in the 2024 general election. Afternoon to you, Ajmal. Good to speak to you. Let's start with that claim from Sadiq Khan that Muslims are, his words, at the very bottom of the hierarchy of people who are trodden upon in this country. Is he right?
Yes, and we've been feeling it badly. And let me give you an anecdote. My father, who came to this country in 1940, I think he came here 47 or even later than that. But anyway, he said to me that while he was living in this country, we had to fight racism. But towards the later part of his life, as he was getting very old, and he saw increasing Islamophobia in our country, he said to me, this is a new menacing culture that's become dominant in our world. Why? He even warned me, saying, son, don't sell the small piece of land that I've got in Bangladesh, just in case you are driven out of this country. Can you imagine a man who lived almost 70 years of his life in this country, worked here, paid his taxes, did everything possible, would warn me, saying, in case you're driven out of this country? Just imagine the despair and the pain he must have gone through to think that there could come a time when his children will be driven out of this country, not because of the skin of the color of the skin of their color of their skin, but because of their religion. And I want people to know that's how desperate it's become. I know many of my friends, my age group I'm talking about, are buying second homes in Turkey, looking for alternative places in Morocco, because they're afraid there could be a pogrom, there could be some sort of a mass casualty against Muslims in Europe. And finally, I'm going to give you the worst news I've ever given anyone. I was in European Parliament at one stage a few years back, having a discussion. And one parliamentarian took me aside and he said to me, when things get tough in Europe, we're going to pick up the machine guns and we're going to be looking for enemies. And guess who the enemies are going to be? It's going to be you Muslims. And then he said to me, young man, I'm saying this to you so that you can integrate more. Work hard to make sure it doesn't happen.
Wow.
Now, warning signs are in every way you look. From our Eid celebrations in Trafalgar Square being rebuked and poo-pooed by people, even politicians. Our media constantly conflating the issues of global crisis with Islam and the Muslims to migration issues. There is not a single day passes by without a media or a politician or somebody having a pot shot at Muslims. Enough is enough, Ben. It's enough. We've had enough now. I want to tell my children, this is my home. I want to tell my world, this is my home. But the people are making it very difficult. And that's very painful for me to say. I've made a name and a fame calling this my home. This is my home.
I hear the pain, and I know you speak for a lot of British Muslims as well, and I'm sorry that you feel the way you do, although I can understand why you do. Let's turn to this sort of issue of incompatibility between Islamic values and Western ones that Sadiq Khan is taking on today, I think rightly. Why do you think that view has become so entrenched that somehow your faith is incompatible with Western values and our way of life?
Give me an example of incompatibility. I'll give you in return thousands of others that are very compatible. Let's take one example. Freedom. Freedom is inherent in Islam. I'm free to believe in God, free to reject him. That's in the Quran. How more free can I be? I'm born free, an Islamic value, a British value. Democratic value, an Islamic value, a British value. Respecting your neighbor. I can't be a Muslim if my neighbor goes to sleep while I'm fed and my neighbor sleeps hungry. In my mosque, then, I run the biggest food bank in North London. I feed 1,500 people every week. 80% of them are non-Muslims. British value, Islamic value. Tell me one value that is British and that is Islamic and that is in conflict.
Can I put one to you that often comes up in this conversation when I've spoken about it here on LBC before?
Go for it.
And that is equality. When it comes to gender and when it comes to the LGBT community as well, people make the point to me that they think Islam is incompatible with our belief in equality in those areas.
Well, let me deal with the first one first. In the Quran or in the sayings of the Prophet, there is not a single verse that one can give me, text and context, which discriminates man and woman. In fact, it says man and woman are co-partners. Man and woman are, like God uses the word of metaphor of a garment, being together in a partnership. So for anyone to suggest that Muslim women, for some odd reason, are somewhat citizens, second-class citizens of Islam, that's not true. The most important person in Islam, we're indebted to her, is the Prophet's wife called Khadija. If it wasn't for Khadija's sacrifice, the first 15 years of Prophet's life until she died, Islam won't be here today. Great scholars of Islam are women. The first founder of university in the modern world is a woman from North African country of Tunisia.
They can't be imams, though, can they, Ajmal?
Well, imam is not a hierarchical role. It's a functional role. It's a role where you lead prayers. And I want to be brutally honest with you. You know, when you stand at the front of the mosque to lead the prayer, if you look at the positions that we take in prayers, prostrating, bowing down, I know my family, I know many of my female friends would say, I would not be at the front of such a bunch of men literally behind me looking at my backside. Now, if you want to be brutal about it, let's be honest about it. It's a functional role. Men and women are spiritually equal in the eyes of God.
Okay.
No one should discriminate them. Now, about the LGBT question. LGBT question is about sexual morality. In Islam is quite strict about its sexual morality. I'm not allowed to have sex outside marriage. And marriage is considered only between man and woman. If this is Islamic view, Islam is not saying everyone must abide by this view. Islam is not saying LGBTQ people in this country
there is a
should be
direct
prosecuted.
contradiction between that view and the law of this land.
But that's not an issue. We are respectful to the law of the land. We're not suggesting that we discriminate. Islam doesn't allow anyone to be discriminated based on their sexuality, their gender, their hierarchy, their social status, money. Discrimination is not allowed. But my belief says I can only have sex within a marital context. Okay. Now, that belief in a pluralist society should be respected and accepted, as long as I'm not going around looking to cause trouble over my belief.
Ajmal, really appreciate your time.
No incompatibility.
I hear you. We have to leave it there, I'm afraid. We're already out of time. But thank you very much for coming on. Ajmal Masroor, Imam and broadcaster who stood as an independent candidate in Tower Hamlets in the 2024 general election.